He's the sixth Republican. Now, we've been talking the last few days about this guy, Driftin'David Ismay. He's a drifter from California, came into town, and now he doesn't even know that East Boston is named East Boston. He thinks it's Eastern Boston, but he wants to shut down all the three-deckers there. And he said a lot of really obnoxious things. This is what he said last month. He makes $130,000 a year on the state payroll. He is believe it or not, we have an Undersecretary of Climate Change. Listen to what he said to a bunch of hippies in Vermont.
60% of our emissions that need to be reduced come from you, the person across the street, the senior on fixed income, right? There is no bad guy left, at least in Massachusetts, to point the finger at, turn the screws on, and break their will so they stop emitting. That's you. We have to break your will. Right? I can't even say that publicly. What I'm trying to say is,
so this guy his position is paid for by the taxpayers. He's very concerned about global warming, even though he has multiple speeding convictions, even though he has a private pilot's license, even though his wife is a convicted speeder. He lives in a mansion in Chestnut Hill, but he's very concerned about you, the person across the street, the senior on a fixed income. He has to break your will. He wants to turn the screws on you. Pretty obnoxious, fascistic musings from this bum from California. And today, 8 members of the state legislature sent a letter to Governor Baker demanding that this guy be fired. And the person who was the lead letter writer was Nick Boldyga. He's a Republican from Southwick in the western part of the state, and he's joining us on the line now. Nick, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
It's good to be with you, Howie.
Has the governor responded?
Not that I've seen yet. We've been checking email regularly, and he hasn't called our office phone or my cell phone, which he has those numbers. So we're not holding our breath. We hope he responds. It's the right thing to do, and we'll be waiting.
Did this just happen?
But do you really think he's going to get, in his press conference Friday when this story broke, he said, no one in my administration should be saying this. And again, that reminded me of the definition of a gaffe in Washington, D.C., which is inadvertently blurting out the truth. And that's what this appears to be. And that's why he hasn't been fired already, because he's telling the truth. That's what they want to do. They want to turn the screws on the working classes of Massachusetts. They want to break our will.
You're absolutely right. When I saw the video, first saw the video, Howie, my first thoughts were, this guy's delusional. He's disconnected from reality. Barbaric comments about targeting seniors living on fixed incomes in Massachusetts. Why aren't they targeting the coastal elite flying around the world, 1 or 2 people in a private jet? They want to target senior citizens. And if a fixed income in Massachusetts usually means they're collecting Social Security. So they want to go after people collecting Social Security, heating their homes. And that's how we're going to solve the climate crisis here in the Commonwealth. I mean, I couldn't think of anything further from reality. And the fact that this guy's not gone already is a major issue.
I don't think Charlie Parker's running for re-election, but Karen Polito's going to be seeking the governorship in 2022 if he's not running. I mean, how does she justify this? I mean, this is basically this illustrates. I wrote a column that's already up on the website for tomorrow's Herald. This basically proves what TCI is all about, the Transportation Climate Initiative. They keep saying it's only 5 to 9 cents, but they really want to raise the gas tax 38 cents per gallon on top of the 24 cents that already exists. And that's how they're going to break the will and turn the screws on people who work for a living.
You're absolutely right. There's no way to justify this. So there's no response that can be given if this guy is still working in their administration. We obviously know exactly what he's thinking going forward. Probably this is some grand plan they have over the next decade to really, the quote to this guy, break your will, turn the screws on. This has got to be some sort of plan that they're, putting forward to target people living on fixed incomes. And it's just amazing that this is what they really think is going to solve the climate crisis in Massachusetts or globally. But the fact is, I don't know how you target people living on fixed incomes. There's nothing to target. If you're targeting people living on fixed incomes, they're going to be out on the street if you make it any more expensive for them in the Northeast as it already is. So I was glad that we could get a handful of reps to sign on to this. And like I said, I just couldn't believe that someone would go out on a video call and say something like this publicly. And, like you said, he even admitted to the fact that he shouldn't be saying this publicly. But obviously, this is something that he is willing to put forward and really focus on over the next number of years, is making the cost of living in Massachusetts unbearable for people living on fixed incomes and senior citizens.
And this is a guy who has in the past, we don't know if he has it now, but he's had a private pilot's license. And he didn't even bother to get his car inspected after it was rejected for emissions problems. Apparently, he's got multiple speeding tickets. But he wants to
agree with you on the fact that
he wants to shut down senior citizens and the people next door, whoever they are, from driving their cars and heating their homes.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, with your inspection sticker, with your emissions, this is one of the things that, if somebody wants to walk the walk, well, there you go. Get your inspection sticker. If you think that your car needs an inspection sticker because of its emissions, well, why isn't this guy doing it? Why isn't he leading by example when it comes to these things? Why isn't he living in a, I don't know what size house he has, but why isn't he living in a much smaller house to reduce his carbon footprint, to walk to work every day? Why does he even have a car, right? I mean, these are some of the things that he could do himself to target and basically combat the climate crisis we're facing here in the Commonwealth. Why isn't he leading the way?
We're talking to Representative Nick Boldyga. He put together this letter saying to the governor saying he should fire him. How about the fact, though, that you've only got a handful of Republicans and you've only got one Democrat who's willing to sign this? I thought the Democrats were the party of the people next door and seniors on fixed incomes. Why aren't they up in arms about this?
Yeah, you're right, Howie. It was kind of eye-opening that there wasn't an outcry from the legislature in its entirety about these comments that this individual made, really targeting and his comments were absolutely targeting our neighbors next door, our family members living on fixed incomes, our state's most vulnerable residents, the senior citizens living on fixed incomes. The fact that the entire legislature didn't say that this was unacceptable, I think it's eye-opening. But I think it's really what, like you mentioned, this climate bill that was just put forward in the last couple of weeks, twice by my colleagues across the aisle. I think this is something that they are absolutely focused on over the next number of years, is perhaps, turning the screws on our most vulnerable residents in the Commonwealth and making the cost of living, skyrocket on people and breaking their will when it comes to wanting to drive their gasoline powered car to their job where they're making minimum wage. This could be what their plan is over the next number of years. And I hope not, because it's going to really be a detriment to the working class people of the Commonwealth.
Now, how about the other YouTube video? And I assume there may be others. The Mass Fiscal Alliance is looking for others, but we found one down the Herald from last August. He's speaking to another group of goofballs about climate change, like he's Mr. Big, and he's talking about triple deckers. And he's talking about how they have to be retrofitted. And he says, I'm not threatening. And then he says, these are in eastern Boston. He doesn't even know what the hell communities he's talking about, and he's threatening to basically put these landlords out of business. And a lot of these landlords aren't even getting their rent paid for the last year. And he's saying, I'm not threatening them. It's so appalling. And the governor is okay with it. He's on board, and so's the lieutenant governor.
Yeah, the issue is, you and I know exactly what's going to happen when, if they try to put pressure on people to, basically retrofit 3-deckers that are being rented to people who are trying to make ends meet. The landlord has no option but to pass it on to the renter. So what's going to happen is all these stretch codes they want to do, all these things they want to force landlords to do who are barely making ends meet as it is, who aren't getting the rent paid right now, they're going to have no choice but to increase rent. People aren't going to pay it, and what you're going to see is a housing collapse. So, this is what we're really looking at right now is, the bureaucrats make the cost of everything so extraordinary that no one can pay these bills. And we're going to look at a collapse going down the road. So people aren't going to be paying their rent. Landlords aren't going to be paying their mortgage, and all of it's going to come crumbling down. We need common sense reforms that aren't going to price people out of their homes.
Where should people go if they want to get the message to the governor or to their legislators that this guy's got to go?
I think you can go on the Mass Legislature's website. You type in your address. You find your legislator. You tell them to sign on to the letter. You have people call the governor's office, call the lieutenant governor's office, and just really, go to your legislator and tell them, hey, listen, we want this guy to go. We don't believe that we need to break the backs of our neighbors and our senior citizens in the state's most vulnerable populations. This guy needs to go. This isn't the message we want. Contact your legislators, contact the governor, lieutenant governor, and tell them to get rid of this guy.
Okay, Representative Nick Boldyga, thanks for doing this letter, and thanks to your 6 Republican colleagues and your lone Democrat colleague, Colleen Gary. If you had asked me this morning, is there's going to be one Democrat who signs on, I would have said her name, and I think you would have too, right?
Yeah.
I just wish there were more.
Common sense.
Exactly.
Colleen's a common sense person that fights for her district.
Yeah. Okay, Nick Boldyga, keep us informed, and the minute you hear. When the phone don't ring, you'll know it's Governor Baker. But if he does call you, please get back in touch with us instantaneously. Thank you. What, Lord, Eastern Boston. Watch out if you're living in Eastern Boston and you own a 3-decker. This guy, the Driftin'David Ismay, is coming to put you out of business.
Eastern Massachusetts, and a lot of maybe the most challenging, both a lot of the least challenging buildings, if you talk about newer residential, are in Eastern Boston.
Eastern Boston. It's always been a problem area. February is recognized as American Heart Month, but talking about supporting heart health isn't enough. Nearly half of all U.S. adults have heart health concerns. Many of us have relatives, close family members who've died of heart disease, or it's made the last days of your life or their lives more painful. You want to keep your heart in good condition as best you can. And one way to do that is getting plenty of exercise, keeping your weight down, and using this product that I hold in my hand right now. If you're on social media, SuperBeets Heart Chews. They're great. Just 2 SuperBeets Heart Chews per day give you the cardiovascular support and promote the heart healthy energy you need every day. They're wrapped in foil like a piece of candy. They taste good, but they're not bad for you like a chocolate wrapped in foil. They're great for you. SuperBeets Heart Chews combine non-GMO beets and clinically researched grapeseed extract shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. In addition to a healthy diet and exercise, supplementing your efforts with SuperBeets Heart Chews to your daily routine is a healthy, easy decision to make to support healthy blood pressure and heart health.
This is a very easy habit to maintain, Howie, because they're just so good. You look forward to taking them every day. You're looking at your watch saying, is it time for my SuperBeets yet?
I have one when I go out in the morning, and I've been having them now when I read this instead. You're going to see me, if you're on social media, you're going to see me eating one of these immediately after I finish the spot. They're great, and they make you feel better. What's better than that? And it's good for your heart. Now, when you buy a bag of SuperBeets Heart Chews, you get a second one for 50% off plus free shipping when you make your purchase at superbeatsradio.com/Howie. Superbeatsradio.com/Howie. You don't need to go to Amazon or Walmart. Go to superbeats.com/Howie and you'll get a good buy on them. That's superbeatsradio.com/Howie. Superbeatsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr
Here, you want
Show.
one? This hour of the Howie Carr Show is